thanks for tuning in. On this channel I do a lot of pottery and ceramic videos, how-tos, chats. So if you would like to see more after watching this video, subscribe, hit the bell, get notifications, and then you won't miss anything. I have been getting into, like a lot of other people have, sourdough over the COVID lockdowns. And with sourdough, it just keeps growing and growing. And so I've got sourdough everywhere. So you end up throwing a bit of it away, which kind of makes me feel a bit guilty sometimes. So I've been using the discards to make sourdough pancakes and sourdough crumpets. And at home I don't have a mixing bowl that has got a pouring lip on it. So I thought I would make one so that I can use it for my pancakes and crumpets. So I want to make one that has got about a 2-cup capacity. That's enough for me and my hubby. So I am starting with 1 kilo of clay. It's just a white, buff white throwing clay. So we'll get that centered. And I want to think about the functionality of it, mixing the dough in the bowl. So I want it to have nice curved sides. Don't want it to be straight up and down. I want it to be curved so that when you're mixing, you can get into all the nooks and crannies and don't lose any in the bottom edges, which would happen if you had a straight up and down kind of mixing bowl. So we want it to have a nice shape to it. So let's get going and see how we go with 1 kilo. I think that should be enough. Just getting it kind of into a bit of an even shape before we start, because that'll make it easier to, my camera's going a bit silly, that will make it easier to get it centered if we start it on a reasonably even peel to start with, rather than having it all wibbly wobbly. So we're going to go full speed. And I like to cone a few times to get the inside of the clay nice and consistent. Rather than struggling in with one. I'm going to measure my base just by measuring it on the side, taking it out, and I don't want to go down any further than that. So I'll open it up. I'm just taking my finger across towards myself and then lifting up. I'm just going to flatten my base because I've got some little ridges in there now that I want to make nice and flat. So I'll go backwards and forwards a few times from the centre across to 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock I should say. This wheel's got a knock. I need to get it fixed, I think. then I'm going to slow the wheel down a bit, go about half speed, and just lifting the clay that I've got squeezed between my fingers upwards, steadying and compressing that rim. Mop the water up as you go so that the base doesn't become saturated. That can cause ash cracks as it dries. I'm going to do one more pull. Sometimes it's tempting to not do that final pull because you've got a nice shape and you don't want to wreck it, but if you've still got plenty of thickness down here, it's good to give it a go just to see how far you can take the clay. If it's nice and centered, it should just, gravity should just pull it up because it won't be pulling against itself because it's nice and centered. A little bit more water in there just so I don't drag on the clay. Up all that water. I'm going to take away some of this thickness down the bottom here with a tool that I did not bring over with me. So I'll improvise and just use this tool with a little angle here so I can get that in under here and just tidy up down the bottom there a bit. Flexible tool that I also didn't bring over with me, so I'm very disorganised today. Let's see. I'll just use a flexible kidney instead of the one that I was going to use. And that's just good to use because it can follow the curve of your bowl. And I just want to smooth off any excess slurry from that surface because I want to do a little bit of a decoration, a bit of a decorative technique. So I want a nice smooth surface. So to do this next decorative bit, I'm going to stop the wheel. My hair's a bit of a clean because I'm going to use a brush and some underglazes now. So I'm just going to turn it off while we do the next bit. Now, hopefully, I think you'll be able to see what I'm going to do. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create some random lines. I don't want them to be perfectly straight, so I'm just going to hold this needle tool really lightly on the surface because I don't want to puncture the surface either. And I'm just going to hold it there, and as I'm holding it there, I'm going to just randomly move my hand up and down just a little bit so I create more of a random line. Not exact, just kind of random. And then I'm going to go, and I'm going to do 3 layers of that line. And then I'm going to go through with some black underglaze and some orange underglaze and also create some fine lines in amongst that. So I'll turn the wheel on again now because we're going to use the wheel as a tool for this decoration. If your clay is nice and centered, it won't be difficult to get your lines because your tool will be touching the clay evenly as it rotates. I might give this a little shake. And I'm just going to get a bit on the tip of my brush. I've got a brush, it's a calligraphy brush with a nice pointed end, and I'll do the same thing here and just move the brush around as I go. Line, wash my brush, could also use coloured slip for this. I'm just using the underglaze because I don't want it to be quite as thick. It's going to be a bit hard to see the orange when I show this to you because of the colour of it, but once it's glazed and fired shiny glaze over the top, it'll be more vibrant, much more orange, so you'll see it a bit better. Okay, I'm going to do some more lines through that a little bit more as well, just to get a bit more. Pressing really lightly with the needle tool because I don't want it to go through the whole pot, obviously. So now we will do the pouring lip, which we'll do with the wheel off. Okay, so the pouring lip is just a matter of, get some water near me. I use my thumb and my first finger, and I have got them on the outside of the bowl, and then the first finger on the inside of this is my right hand, this is my left hand, is going to be on the inside, teasing it out. So basically these two fingers on the outside of the bowl are going to be pushing in, and this one's going to be pulling out, and just easing that little shape into it. Actually, I'm going to use these because of the size of the bowl. So, a bit hard to see, hey? I will try to move around a bit so that it's a bit easier to see if I do it from the front. Okay, cool. So these two fingers are going to pull backwards, and this one on the inside is pulling forward, and just a gentle movement. You can kind of see that. I'm just going to refine it a little bit. You don't want your rim to be too thin, because if your rim's too thin, when it comes time to doing this, you're going to end up with possibly that little spout cracking because the clay's too thin. So you want to try to, like this rim is, the rim that I've got on this bowl is about 7 mil. So that's kind of what you want, so that we don't have it, you don't cause your rim to crack. And now I'm just eyeballing it from above to make sure that everything looks nice and even. So just play with it, get it even. And then once this is leather hard, you'll be able to go around this with a sponge as well and tidy it up even more. But that will do for now. So I will get the camera down and we can have a closer look at the end result. And I think this is going to be good by the time it gets fired and shrinks. I think it's going to be good for a two cup batter bowl, which is what I wanted. So I think that is going to work well. Don't moves into the camera, into your pot, I should say. Okay, here we go. So we can kind of see the end result, and then you can see the lines in there. It's just really random and rough. I didn't want it symmetrical, just wanted it really rustic looking. So I think that's come up pretty well. Okay, so that is it for our 2-cup batter bowl, and when it's finished I'll post a photo of it on my Instagram and Facebook pages. So if you follow the links that I've got in the comments, you'll be able to see the end result in a couple of weeks. Okay, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit notifications for future videos. Bye.